If you want to promote native bees, habitat is the most important, right? Providing them a place to live. The way we do that is we provide them with food, water, and shelter.
Bees need flowers and also nesting habitat. So those are the two things that you can provide.
The first step for creating a bee-friendly yard is observation. And so observing in natural areas like this one, what it looks like, what is part of the ecosystem.
More natural looking landscapes for me offer an enjoyment of life. I get to see all these little things and in this connected circle of life.
We're talking bee habitat. We'll get to flowers in part 2 of this segment, but before bees can visit your flowers, they need places to nest and spend the winter. We start in the Munson Sandhills.
So when we are talking about creating a habitat for bees and other pollinators in our yards, the first step is observing. So walking into your yard and in your neighborhood and seeing what type of habitat you already live in, because we're trying to recreate and reestablish the environment and ecosystems that our human disturbance has disturbed, you know?
These are the sandhills in the winter. Bees come from places like this. And when we mimic how natural areas help bees in the winter, we see more bees in the spring.
It's important to remember that a lot of our native bees, when you see them, it's a short little part of their life cycle usually where they're out and about. The rest of the time they're spending in the ground.
In terms of providing nesting resources, most bees nest below ground. So thinking about having ground that's accessible and that's not heavily disturbed is good for those ground nesting bees.
Leaving a little space where you're not going to be tilling, not going to be mowing often, not going to be walking through often.
You want to have some exposed soil in areas that have some sunlight and some exposed soil and some shade. This can occur around your flowers as well.
Having areas of your yard that don't have a cloth or plastic barrier or a really thick barrier of mulch.
You can still use pine straw like this as mulch, and the insects can still move the pine straw and utilize the area. Pine straw is probably your best choice for mulch in your home garden because it's sustainable, it is local, and a renewable resource, and it's a part of the natural ecosystems here. So you're recreating the natural ecosystem.
Also, leaving the leaves. Just leave the leaves. It's considered brown gold, and you just want a light leaf litter on top of your beds. It also creates a lot of organic matter for the soil and really enriches your soil.
It's not just leaves and pine needles. It's a hard idea for a lot of us to embrace, but bees need dead plant material in your yard.
Branches and dead stems like this one, those are critical for nesting habitat for bees and for overwintering for bees.
What I like to do is leave your dead stalks through the winter. Typically cut them back late February, early March when the new growth is just starting to emerge. Our native bees will use the pithy stems from plants like elderberry, pokeweed, even monarda. They tend to nest in those stems.
At home, as in the forest, some bee species also nest in decaying wood.
This is our brush pile. It is built upon with twigs and branches of all different sizes and shapes. This is a magical spot for native bees and other invertebrates. Everything from skinks to mice to birds, they'll come through. The twigs and branches offer homes for bees, solitary tunnel nesting bees. It also offers some exposed soil at the bottom for other ground nesting bees.
Some folks may wonder, how can you incorporate dead stuff into a landscape with it still looking somewhat attractive? And so what we do here is we use actually a lot of these sticks to line our paths. You can see our little path meanders through our little shade garden here. And we've just used the branches that fall to line it along the way.
And it's a great way to feed the microbes in the soil with this decaying wood matter. Leaving any kind of snag, if you can, is incredible for wildlife. One of the most important trees in the forest is a dead tree.
And so again, providing dead material in your landscape in a kind of attractive kind of way is a really good way to bring in native bees, other insects, to try the best you can to make your landscape a living ecosystem.
You won't likely see your bees over the winter months, but if you leave some bare patches of ground, leaves, flower stalks, and dead wood, you're much more likely to see them in the spring and summer. For WFSU, I'm Rob Diaz de Villegas.